Absolutely. I think it's evolving pretty much the same all over the world. The India situation is particularly interesting because of the number of mobile devices that are present in India, and mobile and the Indian market being able to leapfrog a PC revolution to actually go to a mobile tablet and mobile phone based revolution. But the problems and the opportunities are essentially the same. Yeah, I think the growth is going to be much faster than what you anticipated or what you articulated right now. I think the worldwide penetration of smartphones is going to be well into the 90% by 2016, and India is not going to be far behind on that curve. So I think the adoption of smartphones is going to be phenomenally. There's a problem?
No.
Oh, you want me to speak louder?
No, just look at.
Oh, look up. I see. Sorry. The adoption of smartphones in India is going to pick up because people see the benefit of smartphones. Indians want the same benefits of smartphones as everybody else in the marketplace. And I think the industries in India will exploit the availability of smartphones by providing services that customers will want to use. So for example, if you want to do banking, if you want to book an airline ticket, if you want to pay a bill, all those things will be available to do by a mobile phone, and if it's a smartphone, you can do that much easier than if you had a feature phone. Yeah, excellent. So CA has a long history of being a leader in management and security. And the mobile environments are essentially another endpoint in a computing environment. So just like a PC was an endpoint, or when you did client server, your desktop was an endpoint. So CA has a long history of taking people through mainframe to client server to web and to cloud, and mobility is part of the journey of evolution of computing. And we have the infrastructure and the expertise, and it's part of our DNA to actually provide solutions in this space. So we see three main areas in mobility where CA would play a big role. One is in helping enterprises leverage mobility for productivity improvement. So you as an employee of a corporation want to bring your own tablet or your own notebook or your own phone and use that inside the corporation for corporate use. You will also use it for your personal use, but also corporate for email messages, for example, or corporate documents might come to this device. So we want to help enterprises manage these personal BYOD, or bring your own device syndrome, effectively. So that's one part of the story that we want to do. So that means that we have to manage the physical device, to configure it properly, to meet all the security requirements of the corporation. We also need to make sure that the applications that go on this device behave properly, meet corporate policy. For example, you may not want to start an application that is designed to work only when you're inside the company, and when you are in the cafe drinking coffee, you don't want that application to work. Let's assume that that's a requirement. So those kinds of capabilities will need to be provided for the applications. Then you also want to deal with content. How do you open documents on this device? Can you do cut and paste? Can you forward a document? So all this policy enablement needs to happen inside document management. And email which is one of the biggest applications on devices. So we want to make sure that we provide the ability for you to use the same email clients that you're comfortable with. So if you're using an Apple device, you will use Apple email. If you're using Android devices, you will use the native email that comes with the Android device. So we want to make sure that customer experience doesn't suffer in the quest for having corporate security to coexist with personal use. And we have done that with very patented technology called smart containerization, which I can explain later. But that allows us to bring solutions for enterprise mobility management. So that's our first way in which CA is going to help companies in the mobility revolution. So again, all this is for employee productivity. A second area where we are going to help enterprises is by allowing them to build applications which are suited for mobile. So for example, if you're an airline or if you're a bank, You want to make sure that you build applications that work on mobile devices and you're able to refresh these applications, check the performance of these applications, test these applications, support these applications in a way that is different from what you might have done when people were using PCs. Nobody calls a help desk and says, that particular feature in the application did not work. They expect that the corporation will be able to figure that out by themselves. So a bank or an airline will actually have to know what parts of their applications are working, what are not working, are they really working securely or not. All those kinds of things will have to be predetermined and almost automatically determined. And so we have the technology, the DevOps technology, the development and operations technology, to help mobile applications be built, planned, supported, deployed properly. So that's a second way in which we are going to, because mobile devices are useful only because there are useful applications running on them. And for every mobile device that's there, there's probably 50 applications on there. So we are living in an application explosion, if you will. So he who manages these applications well will actually win the mobility game. So this DevOps support is critical. And so the second leg of the CA strategy for mobility is to actually provide support for mobile DevOps. And the third thing, which is a little bit leaning into the future, is about the Internet of Things. Because soon everything is going to talk to everything. And the ability for enterprises to take advantage of this depends on the same kinds of technologies that we are going to use in mobility. I'll give you a good example. So often people talk about, your refrigerator is going to call your car and remind you to bring milk on the way home, right? Those are, cool examples, or if you don't like the color of my jacket, I can press a button here and change it from blue to green. So those are all examples of IoT, but they are not enterprise use examples. But there are many enterprise use examples, and I'll give you one that we demonstrated at Mobile World Congress. So in a building like the one we are in today, many buildings don't use power efficiently. So when the sun is shining, they don't automatically put the blinds down. And they don't control the HVAC settings automatically. They don't adjust the light settings depending upon ambient temperatures or depending upon humidity conditions, so on and so forth. So if you had sensors and actuators available, then you could actually have these devices or these endpoints talk to an intelligent program, which could even be running on could be managed from my iPad. And I could actually, effect tremendous savings. A third of the electricity used in buildings is actually wasted. So we could actually provide, value to corporations. And think of the same thing happening in a data center. So in a data center, if you're running a data center in Mumbai and one in, let's say, in Dharamsala, when it's colder in Dharamsala, you may want to move the application workload over there because the heating and cooling costs will be lower. In fact, the cooling costs will be lower because the ambient temperature is lower. So the ability to do all of these manipulations is very important. And we actually showed an application that could actually do power management for data centers. And it just so happened that 2 weeks before that, we had announced that Facebook had licensed our software for data center management at Facebook. So that's an example of an IoT type application. So what CA wants to do is to create a platform in which you can build many of these applications, not just for power management. Could be for healthcare management or your refrigerator talking to your car management. So all of these things are part of our mobility strategy. Enterprise mobility management for productivity improvement, mobile DevOps for managing applications, deploying them, the whole life cycle of them, and for Internet of Things. Very good question. So one of the strong points that CA has is, for 35 years we have been a leader in management and security. So we have a lot of security DNA in the company, and we also have a lot of the security componentry that is required to make solutions rapidly in the marketplace. I'll give you some examples. And the second important advantage that CA has is we have always embraced heterogeneity. And embracing heterogeneity is very important in the mobility space for the reasons you just articulated, because the endpoints are all going to be different. And you want to make sure that these endpoints are all managed in a uniform way, because a particular corporation, once they allow BYOD, they can't restrict what devices people will want to bring. So the standard approach for dealing with all of these security problems has been to say that we will create a separate environment on your phone for your personal work and create another environment on your phone for your business work. So it's like having two environments inside, or two boxes. So if you're in one box, then you can't see anything about the other box. But so if you want to go from your personal email to your corporate email, you have to get out of the personal email, get into the corporate email. So these kinds of things, though they look like they're secure initially, they completely are terrible at user experience. And nobody in today's day and age is going to tolerate bad user experience on mobile devices, especially on mobile devices. So the strength of the CA solution is to actually build something called smart containerization. What smart containerization does is actually protect data, for example, in a self-defending way. So only the data that needs special treatment gets a kind of encryption treatment. The things that don't need special treatment just go vanilla. As an example, if I were sending emails to my CFO, the emails that the CFO sends me saying, Ram, let's meet when you're in Mumbai, are perfectly benign emails, and I could just see them on my iPad or my Android device and deal with them normally. But let's say he's telling me, here are the preview of the financial results we are going to tell Wall Street or Dalal Street or whatever, and those communications are very privileged information, and if I leave my tablet in the taxi cab, we don't want somebody else to be able to see them. So for those things, our software can actually automatically detect that these are sensitive information, because we have data loss prevention software available, we have encryption technologies available at CA, already built and battle tested, because we've been doing security for 30 years. And so we can leverage those technologies to do these automatic encryptions just when needed. So when I get that special message that requires special protection, I can authenticate myself in order to open that message. But my inconvenience is only done where necessary. So for example, if inside the corporation, I'm inside the building, I want to access SharePoint inside the firewall and look at a document, I should be able to do that without any added authentication. But the moment I leave the Wi-Fi inside the building and I go to the cafe outside and then I try to get back into the corporation, then you want it to automatically require the strong authentication. So these kinds of ability to actually say when is added security required for a particular application action or a particular email or a document is what we call smart containerization. And as I said earlier, we have several patents on this concept, and that's what sets us apart from the other solutions in the marketplace. Excellent question. So, I mean, there is a great symbiosis between the cloud and mobile. I mean, mobile would not have been as popular as it is unless the cloud had happened. Because from your mobile, for you to do something, you have to actually reach the cloud. Even though there is some software running on your phone, most of the logic is running behind the corporation. And you need to pull that to actually bring it to your phone. When you are doing things on the web, when you went to a URL from your PC, it also went to the back end and pulled technology from there. But the way you actually build a mobile application is different from the way you build a web application. In the web application, you go to a URL and all the content comes from the back end and the web browser displays the content. In the mobile phone, because you want the rich experience of the mobile phone, some part of the logic is running in the mobile phone. You're no longer using a browser, you're using an application. So the application has to make calls. In the olden days, they used to call them remote procedure calls. So it actually has to make a call to say, please, from the SAP database, pick up this information and send it back to me. So all these things are what's called application APIs. So API, the ability to support APIs from mobile applications is very important for mobile applications to work in the cloud. So CA in the web space had the industry's leading product called SiteMinder that actually did policy enforcement on people reaching various URLs. In the mobile world, we actually have a similar product called Mobile Access Gateway, and that comes from a company called Layer 7, which CA acquired about a year ago. And Layer 7 is the market leading mobile access gateway. So when you make the API call from a mobile application, let's say you're looking at your bank balance. So when you hit the show me the balance, that particular action triggers a call into the back end, an API call to say, look up Ram's mobile balance. So you want to make sure somebody catches this API, translates that into the appropriate calls to be made into the Oracle or SAP or whatever backends are running in the financial institution, could even be a mainframe, and to actually ensure that what rights does this particular call have, what kinds of accounts are actually open, what kinds of authentication have been actually completed. So to enforce the authentication, the access control, all those things, we have the technologies to do that. That's why I said that, the 35-year history that CA has is very germane for us to actually provide this market leadership. A new entrant in the mobility space, no matter how much money they raise from venture capital, you could have raised hundreds of millions of dollars, you still can't have all these building blocks available, right? So you cannot go and buy a Layer 7, you cannot go and buy a SiteMinder solution, you cannot buy a DLP solution, you can't buy the encryption technology. So all of these things are building blocks that are available to CA because of our pedigree in this market, and hence our market solutions are ready today and they're industry leading. The challenge is actually to provide applications at the speed at which customers want them. So customers today have become spoiled in some sense. So they want things to happen, they want the access to the information today, right now, right here. And they want to do it in the most convenient way possible. And so enterprises are racing to provide this capability. And essentially, everybody's a technology company. A bank is actually a technology company. Yes, they of course do banking stuff, but they actually have to become a technology company in order to serve their customers better. When I land in Bangalore, I expect my cell phone to tell me your rental car is sitting in a location number 35. And when I walk into my hotel, I expect my phone to tell me you are in room 202. And I expect the keys to the room to actually be delivered to my phone so I can go up to the door of my room and tap it and go walk inside my room. So all these, now the hotel needs to become a technology company. So those are the kinds of challenges that enterprises are facing today. And CA has the goods to help customers, our customers, build these applications and serve their customers at the speed at which they want them.